I'm hoping you can hear me. So if you can just let me know in the chat, if you guys could see me and you can hear me, that would be amazing. This is my first time doing a live workshop, so this whole tech stuff is like fairly new to me. So this was my biggest worry. Thank you, Monashi. Okay, cool. So let's get started. My name is Andra and I'm a mindset coach and kinesiologist, and I'm from Melbourne. And I wanted to do live workshops for so long, but the only reason that I haven't is because I've been holding myself back because of self-belief and self-doubt. So I thought, what better way to kick off these series of live workshops than to talk about the one thing that I probably have struggled with the most in my life. This workshop, just to make sure that everybody's in the right place and I'm not wasting anybody's time, I'm not going to be talking about how to help you get rid of self-belief forever, because that's definitely not my philosophy. And I actually don't know anybody that doesn't have self-doubt at one point or another. But what I am going to be talking about is different ways and different strategies that you can deal with self-doubt when it arises in your life. And these are all the things that I've implemented. And I kept saying as I was promoting this workshop, believe me, guys, like these strategies work, because this week I've had to implement every single one of them. So they are definitely working. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat as much as possible, but it's over here on a different computer. So if I'm not answering any questions, I will answer everything at the end. And welcome to everyone that's here. I've been like chatting with you guys. It's awesome to see you guys here and live. It honestly means so much to me that you guys carved an hour of your day to spend your time with me and learning about personal development and self-belief. So if you haven't already, just please grab a pen and paper, because I want you guys to take notes, because I want you guys to have takeaways from this that you could start implementing right now. A minute to do that. Okay, cool. I'm going to assume you all have your notepad and piece of paper handy. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about me. So you see me now, I'm a mindset coach and kinesiologist. I run my own business. I'm here doing a live workshop, and you might be thinking, all right, this girl's talking about self-doubt, but like, does she really have self-doubt? So I just want to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what my life was like before this whole journey. So I started my career off in corporate communications in Toronto, Canada. And when you work in PR and corporate communications, you have to always be like on the ball, sharing ideas, being very opinionated, talking to media all the time. And I was like the most timid, quiet person. And it wasn't because I didn't have an opinion. It was just that I felt like I couldn't even share it. And I want you to picture this, like picture a meeting room with like executives and like really incredible, smart people. And I was the one who was just quiet all the time. Like I could not even get a word out of my mouth. And they would be like, Andra, do you have anything to add? And my mind would be going, yes, I have like this idea and that, and we could be doing this differently. And I just didn't even have it in me to speak out. And I would always be like, no, everything's good. You guys covered everything. And that's just because I had just such extreme self-doubt, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and I didn't know how to put it aside to even like put myself out there in just such a small capacity of even just a meeting room. So fast forward a year or two, I started attending some personal development conferences, and one of them was called I Can Do It. So yeah, I think they're all over the States and all over the world now, and they have the most incredible authors and speakers that come out and they speak all about life, essentially, life philosophy and science and stuff like that. And I loved it. And I remember sitting in the audience being like, oh my God, this would be like the most incredible dream career. And I would love to be able to do this. And at that exact same moment, I also had a thought that went, you just can't. Like you're definitely not confident enough. These people actually know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. You are not in that caliber. So I think you need to have a smaller dream. And in that moment, I wholeheartedly believed that thought more than my dream. And so I put my dream to the side and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to do this. And I really struggled with, what my purpose was for a really long time, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now looking back, I did know. I just was afraid to go for it, and only started taking a shift with my self-doubt maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I moved to Melbourne and I actually started diving in and doing some personal development work on myself. And I've been doing some work with one of my mentors that really I've been working with him for 3 or 4 years now. And The moment that it shifted for me was when he was getting ready to go on stage for an event. So he does live events all over Australia, and they're like massive events that he has like hundreds of people there. And he was telling me how nervous he was. And I remember thinking, like, what? You get nervous? Because I look at him and he's like the most confident, grounded, man that always knows what to say. And I thought, you get nervous? And I know you guys are thinking like, Andre, obviously everyone gets nervous and everyone has self-doubt. But I just want to say to you, like, I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, did not believe that other people got as nervous as I did or had as much self-doubt as I did. So hearing him say that, honestly, it was the biggest gift because it freed me in a way, because it opened up my mind. And I thought, well, if he's been doing this for 15 years and he still has self-doubt and he gets nervous, then maybe I can learn to manage what the heck is going on within me. And maybe I can start overcoming my self-doubt. So I made a commitment to myself in that moment that I was willing to try. And I wasn't going to let my fears and all this other stuff get in the way anymore. And I remember that moment when we were having that conversation, his team was around and they're all laughing and they're like, oh my God, he like is about to vomit every time he gets on stage. And I was just shocked. And I'm like, really? But it really gave me hope, because I thought, well, then maybe I can do this. So that brings me to what we're learning today. I'm telling you guys everything that I learned that's changed my life in relation to self-doubt. And this is stuff that I've used over the past 3 or 4 years and stuff that I'm using today, like I used it this morning. So again, it's self-doubt is not something that just, you get to a point in your life when you're like, I'm super confident now, I just don't ever doubt myself. I'm not that person anyway. So what I would love to know, because I think for you to overcome or to push through self-doubt, you need to have a big enough reason. So for me, when I was working in the corporate industry, like I didn't really have a big enough reason to try to learn how to speak up or try to overcome my self-doubt, because I didn't really care that much. Like, it was just uncomfortable for an hour or two during the meeting, and then I got over it. But now that I've committed to living my life on purpose and to, pursuing my dreams and to doing live workshops, and I really want to do even more of these, and I have massive dreams and aspirations, I have a big enough reason to overcome my self-doubt. So I want to know, what's your reason? So either write it down in your piece of paper or share it in the chat if you feel drawn to. I would love to hear what some of your dreams and aspirations are. But I want you to ask yourself, if money was no issue, if experience was no issue, if knowledge was no issue, if there was nothing to hold you back, then what would you be doing? And even if you've done this a million times and you're sitting on here and you're like, I know exactly what I want to be doing, just do it anyway, because you will be surprised and delighted at the new ideas that come to mind of what you really want to do when you get really honest with yourself like I did. So I'm actually going to switch views here, and I'm going to share some slides with you guys just because it's a little bit easier while you're doing that. Okay. So again, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat. If you guys can't hear me or anything, let me know, because I can't actually see it on the screen that I'm looking at. Should be fine. Okay. So why do you want to overcome your self-doubt? Money, experience, knowledge, what other people thought was no issue, what would you do? Okay. So I'm going to assume you guys have written that down and you're really clear with that. So let's get into it. First, I want to start with 3 known facts about self-doubt. Okay, so the first is that chaos is the precursor to transformation. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. In order for you to transform, you actually need, by law, by universal law, to undergo a period of intense internal pressure. So I want you guys to think of a seed, right? When a seed actually sprouts, and that pressure needs to come from within the seed. We are also made up of cells as human beings. So this is not just some fluff that I'm telling you. Like, this is actual, like, real cold hard facts. We are made up of cells. So in order for a cell to transform, it needs to go through that period of intense pressure. So I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. It's because this internal pressure and this period of self-doubt is almost required in order for transformation to occur. So when you feel self-doubt, know that you are on your way to transformation. When I learned this, it freed me, because I used to think, oh my God, when I start doubting myself and I'm thinking, I can't do this, I don't know what I'm gonna do, what's everyone gonna think? I used to think that I was on the wrong track, and I used to think that I was making a mistake, and I used to stop. And then when I learned that I needed to feel that, and I knew I was on my way to a transformative period, it actually makes me excited. So this entire week, and I'm going to keep referencing this workshop as an example, this entire week, it was an intense week. I had a lot of stuff going on internally, but I'm thinking, oh my God, it's because I'm about to shift. I'm about to evolve to a new way of being. I'm about to start doing live workshops. This is going to change my life. And even if you think back on your life, think of the times you had the biggest shifts. I guarantee you the week or a month before, your life was in like chaos. Internal chaos and external chaos, and it was just mayhem, because that's how transformation occurs. So know, again, when you're feeling the self-doubt, you are on your way to kicking some serious goals. Okay, fact number 2, you actually need to go through it. You cannot go around self-doubt. So wonder why similar events and scenarios keep showing up in your life time and time again, and they don't go away. It's because you are actually trying to avoid it, and you're not allowing yourself to go through it. So people get stuck in this cycle for months, years, and even a lifetime, guys. Like, I'm not kidding. It's like those people that you see and they always say, I'm gonna do this, I should do this, I really want to do this, but they don't actually do anything. That's because they're stuck in the same cycle, and they're not actually confronting their self-doubt and going through it. They come up against a little bit of discomfort and they back away. Again, just like my story, think about me in that meeting room. Every time I came up against this discomfort in a meeting room, I would run away from it. I didn't actually deal with it. I didn't go through it. And then it kept showing up time and time and time again in my life. So if you're not going to step up, the universe is going to keep sending you stuff to make you step up. This is like, I want you to picture a pool, right? You need to get into the pool, and then you need to like walk through the pool. It's hard. I'm not saying going through self-doubt is like an easy thing. It's really, really hard. It's a lot easier to get out of the pool and walk around, but you need to go through it. And again, this whole week, I just kept visualizing, I'm in that pool, I'm getting closer to the deep end, and I'm walking through it, but I'm not going to run away from it. Next. There are actually a lot of benefits when it comes to self-doubt. So we get so hung up on the negatives associated with self-doubt. We always think it's such a bad thing, but I'm here to tell you there's actually another side to it. Because if you are doubting yourself, that means you actually care about what you are doing. That is the biggest sign that you care, is that you're overthinking it and you're doubting yourself. I love what Monashi said. It's like birthing something painful, but have to go through it to get to the other side. Absolutely, absolutely, I agree. Okay, so for example, more benefits of self-doubt. You do your best. So this whole week I'm thinking, how can I make like the best use of this time that I have with you guys? I'm paying extra attention to details. I tested the tech, like honestly, a million times, because I was just so worried that it wasn't going to work. You also get to feel like you're overcoming something, and it feels really, really good when you didn't think you can do something and then you actually do it. To me, that's one of the best feelings in the entire world. And then you also bring good energy. So think of those speakers that are on stage and they're like super confident, and they just go up and they're like, yeah, this is what you do, X, Y, Z. And it's almost like they come across as sleazy or a little bit egoic. I think when you do have that self-doubt, it brings up a really good, a nervous energy, because again, you're caring and people can feel that. And you also get support from others. And I definitely have to say like a massive thank you to so many people that are even here, because this past week that I've been setting up for this workshop, the amount of support from strangers, and you know who you are if you're on here, and also from friends and from just in my network has been incredible. And that's not because I've necessarily asked for it, but it's just something happens when you go through self-doubt. The universe has to balance that out. So you end up getting a lot of support from other sources. It's really incredible when you start paying attention to the other side and you start seeing the blessings. And there's way more, but I'm not going to go into them. But I'm sure if you sat down and you said, what are all the benefits to self-doubt? You could come up with some really cool ones. Okay, so now you know some facts about self-doubt. Let me tell you how I deal with the self-doubt, because just because you know all these things, I'm not saying, oh, well, then it should be easy, because it's tough. It's hard having this negative self-talk in your head. And like I said before, you can't just have it go away overnight, you know? So you have to deal with it. So I'm going to show you what I use. But my philosophy, based on everything that I'm about to show you, is that what is suppressed must be expressed, okay? So most people, especially now with the personal development industry being so focused on positive thinking and affirmations, you know, you wake up in the morning and you have these doubts, and it's like, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I should. And what do? You tell that voice to be quiet, you suppress it, you try to shut it down, and what happens throughout the day? All you're thinking about is how you can't do something, and all you're doing is doubting yourself. Okay, so you need to express it, and then the intensity will reduce. So do not run away from it. Do not silence it. Do not shut it down, because the more you do, the more intense self-doubt gets. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can express it in a way that's safe or not overwhelming. So the first is meditation. I'm not talking about a meditation where you're silencing your mind. I'm talking about a meditation where your intention is to feel the self-doubt. So often, since self-doubt is such a low vibrational emotion, it sits in your tummy area, your upper tummy or your lower tummy area, and you really need to release it, okay? So I recommend setting a timer on your phone for 10 minutes. And I do this every day. And not only with self-doubt, I do this with fear, anxiety, frustration, anger. I wake up and I tell myself, whatever I need to feel, I'm going to just let myself feel it. And I allow it to arise. And you could even do this now while we're here on this call. Just take a deep breath in and let it out. And just feel like whatever you need to feel. Allow it to flow through your body. Don't try to suppress it. And if those negative thoughts are coming up during that meditation, it's like you're just observing them and you're going, wow, this is really intense what I'm feeling about myself right now. And again, sometimes it could feel very strong. Like I'll feel it in my arms, and my arms will even start shaking, and I just want to like stand up and run away. And I love that. Yes, feeling your feelings. Yes, it's so key. Yes, Maria, you've been doing, that's amazing that you've been doing this. It's such a game changer. And when I started doing this, I found that I was so much more balanced and calm throughout my day. Now, if you're finding that you're going through a period of really intense self-doubt, you can write it out. I don't do this every day, but I do this, like for example, this week I had to do this because I had all these doubts. I do a brain dump on a piece of paper. So we're not writing positive thoughts, we are writing negative thoughts. I don't want you to cover them up with pretty, I am empowered, I am love affirmations. I want you to write down everything that comes to mind. I feel stupid, I sound stupid, I hate my voice, I hate my hair, I hate what I look like, I hate that I'm not smart enough, like whatever comes to mind, write it down. And I've written pages and pages and pages of this until I had nothing left. And then I take a deep breath in and I'm like, wow, I feel so much better, because I'm not trying to suppress it. I'm expressing it. Okay. Number 3 is surrendering. Now, I'm a massive believer that everything that happens to us, or actually, let me say it this way. I'm a big believer that there is always something greater than us working at hand. I'm a big believer in the universe. And I'm guessing since you showed up on this workshop, on some level you are too. And I just find when I surrender what I'm doing in my life to something greater than myself, I feel so relieved. And I often do this after my meditation. If I'm meditating on the floor, I'll go take child's pose. I'll put my head to the floor, take a few deep breaths, and I just say something like, for my highest good and highest good of all others, I trust and allow whatever needs to happen. This is true surrendering. It's not putting a positive spin on it. That I surrendered this workshop. I said, you know, if nothing works, if the tech fails, if, you know, everything gets messed up, I will know that because I surrender it, it's for my highest good and the highest good of all others. And I feel like I need to trust that and I need to allow it. So it takes away this need to control, and it's really powerful. Okay, then we go into number 4, being your own best friend. How would you treat your 7-year-old self? So I always picture myself, at 7 years old, beating myself up with self-doubt, thinking, I can't do this. I don't know if I can do this, all these negative thoughts. And when I think of myself that way, I just want to go up to my 7-year-old self and seriously just give her a massive hug. No problem, Catherine. Yay. I'm glad you liked it. I just want to give my 7-year-old self a massive hug and tell her, like, it's going to be okay. Like, honestly, you are just amazing for even trying to do what you're doing. And, I really talk to myself with a lot of compassion. And I tell myself, you're amazing for being brave enough to try. Do you know how many people don't even take the steps to get to where you are? And I talk to myself out loud. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll sit there and I'll just talk to myself out loud. I don't do it in the mirror normally. I'll just say it to myself, or even in my mind if I'm out and about. And it just helps me feel so much better and comforted, rather than being so annoyed with myself that I'm feeling self-doubt. I think a lot of us try to do this. We get frustrated. Well, why can't I just keep it together? Don't I know this already? And I think that's again only going to make it worse. So it's about, taking that time, having compassion for yourself. I seriously picture, like, even right now as I'm reading the slide, I picture my 7-year-old self beside me, and I feel like I adore her and I feel like she's doing big things. Okay. Number 5 is taking action. Okay. This is a big one, guys. Taking action will relieve your self-doubt, believe it or not. We get stuck in overthinking mode, and it causes so much stress. So every time you're stuck in this self-doubt and you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're feeling like you can't do it, the best thing to do to snap out of that is to say, well, what can I take action on right now? Find yourself caught up in thought, again, take action towards your goal, even if it's just baby steps. So send an email, connect with somebody. This week, when I found myself thinking about this workshop and it stressed me out because I didn't know how it was all going to pan out, I would be like, okay, what can I set up? Let me set up a tech page. Let me, write the outline. Let me just practice what I'm going to say. And as I was doing it, I felt so much better. This entire morning, I left free and I thought, maybe I'll just like meditate, maybe I'll go for a walk. And I thought, no way. When I woke up, I thought all I need to do is test tech over and over again and practice, because those are the only things that made me feel better. So taking action is an awesome antidote for self-doubt. Okay. This is my number 1 secret to summoning insane amounts of bravery, courage for myself. Okay. And this is why. When I'm 80 years old and I picture my life, I want to look back and think, holy crap, that was like the most incredible life. You were so brave. You went for it. The mere thought of me having regret and thinking, I just wish I lived a little bit more. I just wish that I put myself out there. I just wish I did that workshop. I just wish I talked to that person. That to me is way more terrifying than anything else, because I'm a big believer. We have one life to live right now, in this lifetime anyway. So you've got to make the most out of it. And when I'm really stuck in my self-doubt mode, when I think back, or when I think to the future, I guess, to my 80-year-old self, I think, oh my God, I really want to make her proud. And I'm going to do everything I can to do that, because I do not want to have any regret. And that is a secret. And that's where I get a lot of my bravery and courage from, because I know that when I get to that stage, it's not really going to matter. And I remember even thinking this about this workshop again. If everyone thinks it's stupid, if it's all a disaster, I know that my 80-year-old self will be super proud that I actually gave it a shot. Okay, so let's just recap really quickly about self-doubt. Chaos is a precursor to transformation. So when you're feeling it, especially when you've set a big goal for yourself and you're getting closer to it, you are actually transforming on a cellular level, which is amazing. You're evolving. So congrats, kudos to you. You need to go through it, not around it. So Stop trying to avoid it. Stop trying to shortcut self-doubt. Sit with it. Go through the jello or the water or whatever you want to call it and embrace it. And know that there are benefits to self-doubt. There is another side. You do actually do a way better job when you're doubting yourself rather than when you're super confident. On that note, actually, I will say that when I help facilitate a seminar, for example, if I'm not nervous that morning, I will make myself get nervous and start doubting myself. I get nervous because I'm not nervous, because I know I will underperform and I will be crap. So I'll start, even if I'm not doubting myself, I actually start bringing doubts. What if you can't do it? What if you can't do it? And at first I'm like, but I know I can. And I'm like, no, you can really mess this up this time. So by the time that I get to actually work with a person and within the seminar, I'm so nervous and I always do a better job. And I actually have never even tried going in super confident because I don't even want to. Okay, I'm just taking a quick sip of water. Okay. Methods for dealing with self-doubt as a quick recap. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Do not suppress it. Write it out if you need to. Do a brain dump and write negative things. Do not write positive things, please. Add to something greater than yourself. Know that it's happening for the highest good of yourself and for all others, and take it not completely out of your hands, but surrender it to something greater than yourself. Being your own best friend and being compassionate towards yourself is an incredible method for dealing with self-doubt. Taking action to not get stuck in overthinking mode, because it will eat you alive. Honestly, one day overthinking can completely destroy a dream. I will be honest with you. Yeah, I'd rather you just plow through and find something that you can do that will get you closer. And then think about dying. Think about, making your 80, 90, 120-year-old, however long we're going to live, self-proud. The W coach said, laughing that you make yourself nervous if you're too calm. I do, honestly. And I do this with my one-on-one clients too during the day. I work on Skype with people and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's start doubting yourself a little bit. So then I'm really switched on. I'm more switched on when I'm doubting myself. Okay. Now, there are deeper reasons for self-doubt. Now, I really wanted to include this in this, but I don't. The thing with this is that they're so individual, so I don't have general advice, but I do want to bring them to the surface because you might have an aha moment and you might realize some of the reasons why you're doubting yourself. So consider these questions. Growing up, who made you feel like you weren't enough? And growing up, whose attention did you most want that you did not get? And growing up, who did you really want to believe in you that didn't? I'm going to just let you think about that for 10 seconds. Okay. So the answer to these questions is always going to be mom or dad or a primary caregiver that lived with you. 99.9% time it's mom or dad. And some of you may be thinking, no, I have a great relationship with my parents, but that's not the point, okay? So I'll just share a quick personal story. I have an amazing relationship with my parents. Love them, great friends, always gone along. But that doesn't mean that when I was younger, I started developing these little perceptions that I guess contributed to my self-doubt, and I had to deal with them. So for example, I remember I think I was 10 or something, and I had written an essay that I was so proud of. And I took it to my dad and I said, I wrote an essay, I want to read it to you. And he said, great. And I started reading and stumbling on my words. Oh, you can't even read. And he made that as a joke and he laughed it off. And then he, I think, just walked away or something like that. That was obviously so innocent on his part. He was making a joke and it was nothing. But for me as a 10-year-old, it was like, oh my God. My dad, subconsciously, consciously, I don't think that clicked in. I remember just feeling like a bit embarrassed and uncomfortable, but subconsciously it went, I can't even read. So my entire, elementary, high school, even into my 20s, do you see where this stemmed from? When I speak up, when I'm reading, when I'm speaking out loud, people think that I can't. And I was so embarrassed, when you're in class and the teacher goes, hey, who wants to read out loud? Till this day, I'm always like, no, I don't want to. So that's a story that I had to deal with. Now, I look at that very differently now because I've sorted that perception out, and I see that really it's such a blessing he said that to me, because it made me want to become an even better speaker, and I'm very careful with that instead of me trying to stumble through life fumbling through my words. I mean, I still do it from time to time, but I'm very aware of it, and it's something that I'm getting better and better at. So I think it's a blessing that he said that to me now. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you have old stories and perceptions, mom and dad stuff that are holding you back, please, 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 you need to sort those out, because they will essentially run in the background, and they will contribute to the self-doubt. If I hadn't sorted out, that the story I told you is just one perception, but if I hadn't sorted out a series of these similar types of stories, I don't think that I would be exactly where I am today. And they've helped me immensely. And I always get asked, what's the best advice that someone's ever given you? Or what's the best thing that anybody's ever done for you? And I will say wholeheartedly that the best thing that anybody has ever done for me is believe in me when I just couldn't believe in myself. And that was one of my mentors, and it completely changed my life. And I don't mean believe in me like, yeah, Andra, you're awesome, you can do it. Like, I genuinely did not think I would ever actually get to work in this industry or help people or inspire people. I had zero belief in that. And when someone looks at you with these eyes that they can see you 10 years down the road, and they look at you like you're extraordinary, there is nothing like that. Changed my life, and I'm so grateful for that. And when I say my mentor, like I think a lot of people think that, I was walking down the street and someone just thought, oh, she's special, I'm going to decide to mentor her. No, it was not like that. I invested a lot of money to work with a specific mentor of mine and learn from him and study under him. And I'm talking about like literally 5 figures. And that was me stepping up and meeting him where he was at and saying, I'm ready to be a student. And if I didn't do that, I know without a shadow of a doubt, there would be no workshop today. There would be no business. There would be no Andra as a mindset coach and kinesiologist. I would be small, stuck, and hiding away. Okay, so I've been talking for about 35 minutes. I don't think I've ever talked straight for so long. And I think I've told you everything about how I went from not believing in myself at all to where I am now, exactly like I said, taking chances on myself every day, every month. Every month I feel like I set the bar a little bit higher. At first it was like, making YouTube videos. That to me was like the most insane, scariest thing. And now I'm like, I'm comfortable with that. Now it's workshops. Maybe it's going to be live workshops next. I don't know. But the point is, I can now be confident in knowing that I could reach my dreams and aspirations without that fear of self-doubt holding me back and chaining me back. Yay, I think you could see me again now. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions about self-doubt in general or anything at all, just pop it into the comment section. I will keep an eye on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just answer a few questions that were sent to me before. So let me just take a quick sip of water, actually. Okay. So someone asked me before the workshop, and he couldn't make it live, but he said, I get that you're saying that you can believe in yourself, Andra, but what if I just can't? Like, what if I can't? I physically cannot. And my answer to that is, well, you need to be willing to believe in yourself. Like, I can wholeheartedly relate and agree with that. I remember like having that same, feeling of, and I think I talked about it a lot on this workshop as well, feeling like I honestly could not believe in myself. But there was a point where I decided that I would be 100% willing to try. And I started seeing that other people who, had these really big successful careers. I mean, I think I've even heard Oprah talk about self-doubt, to be honest. When you see people that are vulnerable enough to share that, then you start thinking, well, hold on a sec, maybe then that could be relevant for me too. Maybe I can try to get through some of these self-doubts as well. So I decided that I would be willing to try, and that changed things for me completely. Okay, Monish, she said, what would you recommend for people to work through the mom or dad issue or to even recognize what it is? I would say ask yourself those questions that I said, like who growing up did you want attention from that you didn't necessarily get it from, or who did you want attention from? With the mom or dad stuff, this is why I struggle with this, because I don't have a one, size fits all, like do this one thing and that's going to shift everything for you, because I think it's a bigger conversation, and that's a lot of the stuff that I do in my one-on-ones with clients. But I would encourage you to get clear on the specifics of that you most wanted attention from. Think of a specific event of when that happened, and then try to shift your perspective around it. And the best question you could ask yourself around that is, well, how does this benefit me? How does it benefit me now? How did that specific event benefit me? Why did that have to happen? Because I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. There is a divine order behind everything. And when you start seeing that order, then the pieces start coming together. So I do a lot of this with my clients one-on-one, but if you're going to do it on your own, I would recommend, sit down for like an hour and just keep asking yourself, how did that particular event benefit me? Okay, I'm just going to go through another question. When things get hard trying to start a business, how do you know that it's not the universe telling you that you're on the wrong path? That is a good question. Okay, let me think about that one for a second. That you're on the wrong path. So I suppose what you're asking is, how do you know when it's self-doubt and you're just holding yourself back between, how do you know that you're on the wrong path? Well, the first thing I want to say is there is no wrong path, because if you decided to go down the path, then that's obviously the path for your highest good. So you have to accept that, and you have to get that whatever's happening is part of your path. And I think the self-doubt could creep in, and it could convince you that you're on the wrong path. But I think you have to get clear with yourself, and you have to ask yourself, well, what would I love, And first question that I put out to you today, if money was no issue, if experience was no issue, if people were no issue, if I could snap my fingers and my life would look like this, and this is what I would spend my time doing every single day for the rest of my life, if that's aligned with your business, then you're definitely on the right path. Like, there's no doubt about it. And you need to just keep that focus, and everything else, you have to go through it, but you have to stay focused to that end vision. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, I totally think some of the practices like writing things out are extremely helpful. However, I haven't been able to maintain those practices consistently. So I'm intimidated at the thought of trying to practice the new habit. Do you have any thoughts on pushing past the resistance to practice new habits? Okay, well, I would say keep it really simple. If you're starting a bunch of things, it could be that you're doing too many things at once. So with the whole writing stuff, I actually do that quite rarely. Like, I do two things in the morning. One of them I didn't talk about on this call, which is gratitude journaling. And that takes 10 minutes. And then I do my meditation for 10 minutes. When I had like 5 morning practices, I didn't stick to any of them. So I would recommend starting with one thing and just committing that you're going to do it, and also just commit for a short period of time. So don't tell yourself you're going to do it forever. Say, I'm going to do it for 5 days for this week. Give yourself weekends off. That's another one. Don't feel guilty when you don't do it. That's another one. You have to have leeway with yourself, and you have to be gentle with yourself. So if there's a morning like today, I was like, I just don't want to do gratitude journaling. I really just wanted to test my tech, because that was what was more important to me. So I don't beat myself up with that. And I know I might do gratitude journaling tomorrow. I might skip it on Sunday, but I'll be back at it on Monday. So don't be too hard on yourself. And my pleasure, Amy. So good. Love the chaos as the precursor. And if you decide to do a live workshop, let's do Sedona. Yes, I would love that. Oh my God, it would be like a full circle moment, because I will actually tell you guys. So I was just saying to the W coach that I got engaged in Sedona. And that was also the weekend, or not the weekend, the couple weeks when I decided that I was quitting my corporate job, and I actually started this whole journey. So that would be amazing to do a retreat there. Answer one more question that I had. What if I don't know what I want? So I get this question all the time from people that are like, I get that you have clarity over that, and I get that's why you push through self-doubt, but I don't. And my answer to that is that you do know what you want. You're not allowing yourself to admit it to yourself. So exactly how I did when I told you, back in that seminar room, or not the seminar room, when I was at the I Can Do It conference. And I knew what I wanted in that moment, but I didn't allow myself to admit it to myself. And it was, it made me feel really, really lost for very many years, because I kept thinking, I really want to find my purpose. I really know what I want to do. And it wasn't until I was actually at a seminar and I was sitting down and I was writing my mission statement, and I wrote down, I want to help people. And I remember I started crying, and the girl next to me is like, why are you crying? And I'm like, oh, because I just admitted to myself what I actually want to do. So now I know that if with every breath that I take for the rest of my life, if I don't actually try to do this, I'm going to die with regret. And I was almost annoyed that I had such a big dream. So for any of you that might be just thinking, you know, I just don't have clarity, my biggest piece of advice is allow yourself to admit it. And every time I work with someone, it's like this massive alarm bell, and they're going, I really don't know what I want. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like written all over you. And I get that people have to catch up to that. And it had to happen, you know, it always happens like it needs to, but you do know what you want. You just have to admit it to yourself. Okay, I think that's it. I don't see any more questions coming through. And I don't have any other questions to answer. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on this live workshop. Like, the fact that you guys spent an hour with me means the world to me. There's no words that I can describe. You know, when you put yourself out there and you show up for your dreams, and then, you know, the universe responds. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. No other place in the world I'd rather be right now. I will catch you guys soon. I am going to do another workshop soon. The next one will be on manifesting, and it's probably going to be in early June, I'm assuming. Thank you again. I'll talk to you guys soon.